Barriers to work, I want to touch on that, but I also want to touch more specifically on mental health. Now, mental health for me has always been an overlooked issue within our society. Overlooked in the fact that people believe that someone with mental health issues are either harder to employ, harder to cope with, or perhaps they're discouraged from giving them an equal opportunity. Now, many people will say, you know, we have an equal opportunity system, but that's not always the case. And sometimes you need to go to an organisation with your potential trouble spots, maybe you know you find it difficult getting up in the mornings, and or you maybe have anger management problems, or you know, there are many different enduring mental health issues that could impact on your work. But from my experience, they can all be overcome. I want to give you two case studies, and then just touch a little bit more on mental health. But my first case study was, I worked with, very early in my career, I worked with a young lady who was catatonic for 2 years, and she really didn't want to go back to work. She didn't see the point in meeting me. She didn't think I could really do anything for her. I didn't understand the situation, and I never would. But I persisted. I phoned her every few days, and I made sure she realised that the organisation she came to for support supported her. Now, she did get a job eventually. She actually got a job with the organisation I worked for, and she was a very good administrator. But without my initial support and my determination as an advisor to help her, she never would have got through. My manager at the time discouraged me from working with her because she was a harder to help, and considered her long harder to help, and wanted just to pass her on. When I actually moved offices, I had another client who had actually been through the organisation before. I hadn't worked in 22, 23 years. And my manager, within the first week, said to me, "Rico, drop him, please. He's just going to take up too much of your time. Then you'll find he won't work, and he won't sustain, and he won't earn us any money. You've got targets to reach. Make targets." And I said to him, "Look, I understand your point of view, but I didn't take this job for that reason. I took this job because I wanted to help those who really need my help." So anyway, a month passed, and I was definitely frowned upon for taking on the client. And in the second month, we had a coaching advisor who used to come down and give advisors coaching tips. He's paid very handsomely for his work, but he was very good at his job. However, he also told me, "Rico, drop him. Your manager had him. He couldn't get him a job. He's excellent. He was excellent at his job. Great targets. I couldn't get him a job. I've also set targets. You can't work with him. He's going to be detrimental to your workload." I was very, very frustrated by this, because I assumed that because the job centre couldn't offer this type of service, we were going to offer this type of service. But I persisted anyway, and I guess, trying for I called him up 2 weeks later, and I said, "Oh," I spoke to my manager and my coaching advisor. I said, "Look, I've got him a job. I think he's going to sustain." Once again, I was frowned upon for the next week in really giving good support. We spoke morning, lunch, and after work. But it was good for him, because it meant my client felt that somebody was there to support him if anything went wrong. We sorted out his benefits together, the transition from benefits to non-benefits, so that all of his paperwork was in order, so that he didn't feel that those pressures were upon him. This is why I went into working in mental health. If you do have an enduring mental health problem, there are advisors that will help you, that will do everything to help you. If you find your advisor isn't, and you might not even have an advisor, I would definitely try and get one. If you find your advisor isn't, get another advisor. There will be advisors out there that will have the time, and that will have the inclination to work with you. Some organisations will discourage it, but that shouldn't discourage you. They need to improve their ethos, and hopefully with a bit of pressure, they can have flexible contracts that allow that work with you to be worthwhile and not just counted on a job output. I will encourage everybody that may have suffered some discrimination in mental health, finding a role, don't know where they're going to to please give me an email or get in contact. I felt as though that part of my job was the most important part, because there were a lot of people that lost hope, and I really enjoyed trying to restore that for them, or trying to find some sort of structure and improvement in their lives, because actually they have been largely ignored. And I'm sure if you're watching this and you maybe have suffered a mental health problem, you know that you're just as adept at working as anybody else.